All right, random sandwich tier list. Let's go. First of all, we are not going to need this not a sandwich category. People are like way too regimented and uptight about the definition of a sandwich. Like a hot dog is a sandwich, a hamburger is a sandwich. Like if it's a filling that's encased in a carbohydrate shell, it's either a sandwich if it's open, or it's a dumpling if it's completely enclosed. Okay, so those are your options. So if it's not a dumpling, it's a sandwich, and all these are sandwiches. Starting with a tuna melt. I know there's this thing that people say you can't mix cheese and fish, and people who think that are nuts. Like, everything is better with cheese, including fish, and the tuna melt is a delicious sandwich. You got that nice contrast between the toasted bread and the gooey filling. It's a lovely sandwich. I mean, it's not something that I'm having all the time, so I'm going to put it in B. But I wouldn't turn down a tuna melt. Fried chicken sandwich probably has to go S. I mean, there's a reason that fried chicken sandwiches are, so significant in the cultural zeitgeist of today, and it's because they're generally really delicious. I mean, like what's not to like? If you have like a well fried piece of chicken, you put some pickles on there, a sauce on a nice bun. It's kind of hard to fuck up. You can only fuck it up if you're not frying chicken well in the first place. But you know, in that instance, maybe think long and hard about whether you want to even put a fried chicken sandwich on your menu, because it's high stakes these days. People are so obsessed with the fried chicken sandwich and comparing this fried chicken sandwich to that fried chicken sandwich, who has the best fried chicken sandwich, that unless you're very confident in your chicken frying abilities, just don't even bother. Because if you have a subpar product, you're going to get laughed out of town. And it's going to be angry laughter. It's not going to be jovial laughter. Freaking cheesesteak. I'm going to put it in B. Here's the thing. There are a few sandwiches on this list where I feel like I have not had an optimal example of that sandwich varietal. And cheesesteaks are one of those. All of the cheesesteaks I've had have been fine. They've been tasty. They've been like big fatty mess of cheese, onion, meat goo. And that's good. It's great, for like a nice cheap bite where you feel like death afterwards. But, I know there are supposedly great cheesesteak sandwiches out there, and I don't doubt it. I mean, it is a personal dream of mine to go to Philadelphia and do a sandwich tour of my own design. I think we can all agree that Philadelphia is the sandwich capital of America, if not the world. So yeah, I'm sure at some point I will live my dream and go to Philadelphia and try a number of these very acclaimed cheesesteaks, and maybe that will change my mind. Maybe I'll move it up to A or even S. But in my personal experience, they're just okay. All right. All I have to work on is what I know firsthand. Not gonna bullshit you. All right, the Cubano is an S tier sandwich just because it's simple, to the point of being like elemental. It's just, it's a crispy roll, crispy, well toasted roll, pressed roll with a meat and a pickle and some mustard and some cheese. And that really is all you need to make a great sandwich. And I not to get all snobby, but I wish more people would realize that. People are throwing all these bells and whistles onto your sandwiches, and a bell and a whistle can be nice at times, but I think the Cubano shows it's like every element has its purpose. It's a beautifully balanced sandwich. You have all these rich elements, but then you have the mustard and the pickles just balancing everything out. And it's a it's a wonderful eating experience, and I know that there is a subsection of the Cuban population in Miami where they put salami on the Cuban sandwich in addition to the ham and the pork. And I've never had that, but that sounds incredible. So I don't think that would change my mind. That might even make me put it up higher. The meatball sub is a great sandwich. It's dependable. Even with like subpar meatballs, even if your meatballs aren't the best, it's still going to be a pretty good sandwich. A meatball sub is one of those things where even like a bad meatball sub is still a pretty good meatball sub. It's kind of like a cheesesteak in that you don't have a lot of meatball subs that like blow your mind, though I actually have had one or two. But most of the meatball subs I've had have been quite middling, kind of middle of the road, and they're still satisfying. So you can't really complain about a meatball sub, in my opinion. All right, so now we got the first of our fancy French sandwiches. We got a croque monsieur, which is it's like a ham and cheese sandwich. It's got bechamel sauce. It's got Gruyere cheese. It's got mustard. It's basically your standard ham and cheese sandwich, but they top it with the bechamel and they bake it so the sauce gets browned, and you typically eat it with a knife and a fork. And I don't know, I'm going to put it in C. Maybe this is just an example of me not having a great one, but you're basically taking a ham and cheese sandwich, which is already a delicious sandwich that, doesn't really need fucking with, and you're introducing this other element that's just making it harder to eat. And I mean, bechamel sauce is delicious, but I don't know if it's really needed here. It seems a bit excessive in this context. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But then, you top it with an egg, and I actually think that's an improvement, because now, instead of just taking a sandwich and covering it with a bunch of sauce so you can't eat it as a sandwich anymore, now you add the egg to that, and to me that makes it like a dish. It makes it more of a composed dish, So I think it's more justified in that form. It's just my opinion. The Reuben is going to be our first S plus sandwich. I never say no to a Reuben, whether it's a corned beef Reuben or a pastrami Reuben, or hopefully a both Reuben. Turkey Reubens can go fuck themselves, but as long as it's pastrami or corned beef, I'm on board. And it's similar to the Cubano in that it's this very simple construction where you don't need anything else. You have the rich elements with the meat and the cheese and the Russian dressing, but then you have the sauerkraut on there to balance everything out, like the mustard and the pickles and the Cubano. So it's not like, I mean, that's like my main complaint with a cheesesteak, where it's just like unstoppable richness attack in your face. And the Reuben, even more so than the Cubano, is just a very, very balanced, very enjoyable eating experience overall. I love a Reuben. The hero, I am going to put in, I think I'm going to put it in C, and I'm prejudiced here. The town where I went to college, there was a place that had the best heroes I've ever had, like by far. And now, I thought I loved heroes, but I've had them in other places, and they've just never lived up to it. So, it's just, I think it's kind of soured me on heroes in general. I mean, I'm sure there are other great ones out there. Maybe I'll have one eventually. I'll change my mind. I'll move it up. But for now, yeah, my bitterness is forcing me to put it in C. It's kind of like corned beef hash, where the town where I grew up, there was a luncheonette that made incredible corned beef hash. So I grew up thinking, oh, I love corned beef hash. And then I get it in diners, and it disappoints me every single time. And it's just like, oh no, I don't love corned beef hash. I love their corned beef hash. And it was the same with heroes. I loved this specific hero, not necessarily heroes in general. So, we'll see. We'll see. I'm open to evolving my feelings on the hero. The po' boy is, I'm going to say S tier. I mean, once again, very simple sandwich, hollowed out French roll with your filling. In this case, it looks like they're doing fried shrimp, which is an excellent po' boy. And then you can get it dressed with the lettuce and the tomatoes and the mayo and some hot sauce and pickles. Or you can just have it really basic with just like the bread and the filling. You can, there are levels to this. And I love po' boys. I mean, partially because they're delicious, and I love the chew of the French bread and all of that. But also partially because I love New Orleans, and it's a very important place to me, and I miss it very much. And anytime I have a po' boy, I'll just think back to New Orleans and all the nice summers I spent there. And it's a delicious food for me, and it's a nostalgic food. And we shouldn't discount such things as nostalgia in for example, a sandwich ranking, because we can try to be objective all we want, but at the end of the day, our brains, our experiences are calling the shots. So I'm not going to try to divorce the po' boy from those feelings of nostalgia. I'm going to welcome those feelings and let them influence me, because why shouldn't they? I mean, personally, I'm more of like a fried oyster po' boy guy than a fried shrimp po' boy, but they're both great, obviously. I am definitely open to either. The bacon, egg, and cheese is a delicious sandwich, but I think it's the scotch overrated. I mean, I'm kind of more of a sausage, egg, and cheese guy. I don't know if that's sacrilege or something, but people just go on and on and on about the bacon, egg, and cheese, and it's good. It's a delicious sandwich, but I don't think it's worthy of the kind of insane level of fanfare it's received. The caprese sandwich, I'm gonna put in D. I'm not a fan. I mean, I like a caprese salad fine, where it's just like tomatoes and mozzarella and basil, but you put that in a sandwich, I think it's just it's a boring sandwich. It's more enjoyable as a salad, because the fresh mozzarella, there's a wetness component to it. There's also a wetness component to the tomatoes, so you get the sandwich that's just kind of mushy and bland. I mean, sometimes they'll put some pesto on there, that helps a lot. But overall, yeah, I would rather eat any of these sandwiches than a caprese sandwich. The patty melt is a fantastic sandwich. I'm tempted to put it up in S plus, but I'll put it in S for now. But yeah, it's delicious. It's just a hamburger, but it's on toast, and generally there are some pickles in there, and some cheese, obviously, and yeah, it's just a delight. I mean, most times, all things being equal, if the same toppings are available on both, I would rather have a patty melt than a hamburger in your average hamburger bun, personally. Egg salad, I think, is a delicious sandwich. I'm gonna put that not in S. That'd be crazy. I'm gonna put that in A tier, though. I never say no to egg salad, and it's something that can be very optimized. If you want to make it more pickly, more mustardy, kind of more more crunchy with the addition of more veggies and stuff. You have a lot of wiggle room there, and you can make that Japanese style egg salad that everybody's so obsessed with the Kewpie mayo and stuff. And yeah, I mean, egg salad is just, it's delicious. The French dip, um, I don't know. I mean, I think the French dip is really good with the jus when it's dipped in the jus. But should the sandwich need that? Shouldn't the sandwich be able to stand alone? I don't know. I'm going to put it in B. I mean, this is not the same thing as an Italian beef sandwich. Oh, which is on this list later. So I basically think the Italian beef is a better version of the French dip. So you know what? French dip's going in C. Fuck it. Peanut butter and jelly. I'm not as attached to this one as a lot of people are. I didn't really grow up eating this all that often, like most people did. So for me, yeah, it's like a D. It's not something I crave, and I'm aware that I'm part of a very small percentage of the population that feels that way. But it's not really my jam. Now the torta is it's a Mexican sandwich, and they're very delicious. I mean, it's some kind of meat filling, and the usual lettuce and tomato, but then a lot of times they'll put some beans in there. They'll put some avocado in there, some kind of creamy element. And overall, I think it's a delicious sandwich. I like the milanesa, the one with the cutlets in there. But it's it's delicious. I'm gonna put it in A. The roast beef sandwich is fine. I don't find roast beef to be the most flavorful thing. Um, it deserves to be in C though. It's I wouldn't turn it down. No, this is the ham bone, however you pronounce it. And this is I don't even feel equipped to rate this because this is just a ham sandwich on a baguette with some butter. That's all it is. It's three ingredients, and then that sounds pretty boring. But the idea is you're supposed to get this in Paris. All of the ingredients are supposed to be like super super high quality, and it's supposed to be like a transcendent experience. So I've never had anything like that before. I mean, for the concept, I'm just gonna drop it into C tier. But it's very possible that if I ever get over to France, which I intend to do, and have one of these there, it's gonna. I mean, we don't know how high it could go. It could go all the way to the top. We'll see. The tonkatsu sandwich. Once again, I feel like I have not had the opportunity to have a genuinely great katsu sandwich. Like to me, I don't think that highly of it because number one, I'd rather just have a piece of tonkatsu. You're getting less tonkatsu in the deal here in this like composed bite, and also these sandwiches are usually very small and they're usually quite expensive. So to me, it's not a great deal, but I'm aware that I haven't been to Japan and had one of these in Japan with like a great local beef. So I'm sure, if I have that experience once again with the Hamon Bure, who knows? Who knows how high it could go? The Monte Cristo is just excessive and strange. I'm going to put it in F. I don't want it in my life. The grilled cheese is an A. I mean, you can, it's not something I order at a restaurant. If they have a grilled cheese, it's like, oh, I'm so excited because we have grilled cheese at home. But it's a sandwich that it takes like 2 seconds to make, and it's always delicious. And you can switch it up with the breads and the cheeses and the sauces you put on there. It's like an infinitely customizable food, and 9 times out of 10, unless you're Gordon Ramsay, it's gonna be gooey and delightful. It's just the standard ham and cheese sandwich is a fine sandwich. I'm gonna put it in A over the croque madame just to throw a little more shade at the croque madame. But it's just I feel like this is another sandwich that benefits from the simplicity, in my opinion. A bagel with lox, that is an S plus tier sandwich. That is delicious. Smoked salmon on a bagel with cream cheese, capers, red onions, and tomato. It is a perfect melding of flavors and textures. It's one of the most satisfying foods on earth. The falafel is, I would say, I mean, I like a good falafel. We'll put it in B. It's delicious. I mean, falafel is one of those things that the quality kind of varies. I've had falafels that are wonderful, and then I've had ones that are very, like heavy and greasy. And so this is dependent on, do you have good falafel in the first place? But if you do, it's a fine sandwich. Chicken salad I like, but in general, I don't like it as much as egg salad. So I'm going to put it at B. I've had fantastic chicken salad, and I make good chicken salad. I put a little curry powder in there. It's delightful. But it's risky because a lot of times if you go to a restaurant that's, not breaking any new culinary ground, let's say, they'll like use that canned chicken, that like tuna chicken, and it's disgusting. Like canned chicken, I can always tell when it's canned chicken, and there's something about it that just like repulses me. So for that reason, I'm only going to order a chicken salad sandwich from a place that I already trust, you know. And I've had some bad ones, let me tell you. The veggie and hummus sandwich, F. Why would I ever get this? Bologna sandwich. I love a good bologna sandwich, Bologna, especially if it's grilled up, you get a little color on it. Bologna is a delight. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna put just your standard cold bologna sandwich in B. But if you want to put a little more effort, you wanna fry it up on the grill. You wanna slap a piece of cheese on there or something. It'll go up. Like a fried bologna sandwich would probably be a tier higher. The Italian beef. See, I'm prejudiced here because I just had one of these for the first time on my way to the Soul Coughing show at what's that place called with the Portillo's? Yeah, it was incredible. It's an incredible sandwich. So just based on that sandwich alone, I want to put it an S plus, but I'm gonna put it an S for now because I don't have that much experience with the Italian beef. I want to have a few more before I commit to S plus tier. But yeah, it was delicious. I got it with the sweet peppers and the hot peppers, and it's got the spicy giardiniera on there, and it's got the juices. Like I said, it's basically just a better version of the French dip sandwich. So, I love it. The hot brown is a delight. I'm gonna put it in S. Because you don't get it that often. Every time I see a hot brown on a menu, I'm delighted. I mean, if you don't know, it's like an open face sandwich. It's got some turkey, it's got some bacon, some tomato, and then it's got like a Mornay sauce, which is basically a bechamel sauce with some cheese in it. So it's a better version of a bechamel sauce. And then you bake it in the oven, and it's delicious. I mean, it's a disgusting mess, but I love it. The bocadillo. This is another one that I am not equipped to talk about because it exists only in my imagination. I mean, it's just basically, it's something you get in Spain, and it's basically this roll full of that really high quality Spanish ham, that jamon, and you just like rub the bread with a little bit of tomato and maybe some olive oil, and like that's all it is. I bet it's amazing. I mean, I've had that jamon, and it's incredible, but I've never had like a composed sandwich like this. So just theoretically, I'm going to put it in B, but I'm sure if I get to Spain and I try one, it's going to go up. I don't feel comfortable putting it higher than B unless I have, more personal experience with it. But I have experience with the ham, and that ham is bananas. The liverwurst sandwich. I love a liverwurst sandwich. It's got mustard, onions, pickles. It's an intense sandwich. People will look at you weird when you bust it out, but I think it's delicious. I mean, I think everything is delicious. I'm gonna put it in A. Fuck it. Pulled pork sandwich. It looks like this one has some slaw in there. I like it when the slaw is a little more vinegary as opposed to more mayo forward. In this particular application, cuts through the sweetness a little better. But the pulled pork sandwich is delicious. The best pulled pork sandwiches I've ever had, they kind of just like milled together into like almost a weird barbecued dumpling where you don't know where the meat ends and the bread begins, and it's delicious. The cucumber tea sandwich. I love these things. I mean, I love afternoon tea. I've only gotten to experience it a couple times in my life, but it is so much fun. I want to do it more. I wish I lived in a place where, where it was more readily available. But what can you do? I'm going to put them in B because, it's not the greatest sandwich on its own. It's just, cucumbers and butter on bread. But when you combine it with the setting and the pageantry and all, all that ancillary shit around the margins, it's elevated. If I was having a cucumber tea sandwich at an afternoon tea, that would be an A tier or even maybe an S tier sandwich. The banh mi is not only S plus, it is S plus a million infinity plus. It's my favorite sandwich. The banh mi is my favorite sandwich. It's the Vietnamese sandwich, and the one that I typically get, the most basic one, is just basically it's a roll. It's got like a bunch of different kind of Vietnamese cold cuts, including like a bologna like one and like a head cheese. And then it's got some pate on there, some liver pate, and then it's got some pickled daikon radish and carrot, and it's got some cilantro on there, some jalapenos, and some sauce, some like Maggi sauce, and maybe a little mayonnaise or what have you. And it's incredible. It's got such a complex flavor profile from the pickled vegetables and the herbs, and it's so many things all at once. But it's not scattered. It's all working together in harmony. And I dream very much of going to Vietnam and trying these there, where they're just a common street food, and you can get them all over the place for really cheap. You know, I envy that, because they are a hell of a sandwich. The BLT, okay, okay. So this is tricky because a BLT in tomato season, when the tomatoes are at their best, can be like a transcendent experience. But 9 times out of 10, the kind of BLT you make when you're just getting some random underripe tomato from the grocery store would be like a C or a D. So I'm gonna put it in B because the spectrum of quality is so high. It's you got to be sure. You got to be sure the tomatoes are of the highest quality possible, or else the sandwich will not work and it'll be boring as fuck. The Italian sub is obviously an S tier sandwich. It's magic. I mean, you know that. We don't have to even talk about it any more than that. The Thanksgiving sandwich, I'm gonna put an F. I think it's dumb. I think it's excessive. I think it's too much. I think it's everything that's wrong with humanity. The lobster roll is delicious, but you're never gonna order one because it's so incredibly, ridiculously, stupidly expensive. But if you do end up ordering one, yeah, it's tasty. I'm gonna put it in B because it's good, but I don't know if it's that good to justify that expense. And then finally, we got the club sandwich, which I'm going to put in A. Club sandwich, very dependable, delicious sandwich. It's basically a lasagna sandwich. With the layers. I mean, you know what I mean. Anyway, that's I think that's all the sandwiches. Bye.